Get on your knees and beg. The man had an arm around her stepsister, his smile brutal. Nenah went ice cold. Tonight was supposed to be her engagement banquet with the Crawford family. Instead it had turned into the day she was dumped in front of everyone and became Riverdale's laughingstock. Just as the last shards of her dignity crumbled, a voice as cold as liquid nitrogen cracked through the ballroom. Lay a finger on what's mine. Before we go on, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling us where you're listening. The hotel's crystal chandelier scattered blades of light across the room. Nenah's cheek burned. In front of her stood her so-called fiancé, Zach, clutching her half-sister Bella like a trophy. Big sis, I'm sorry, Bella cooed, pressed to Zach's chest, the corners of her mouth sparkling with victory. True love? Inside Nenah everything turned to dust. Their true love meant teaming up to stab her in the back at the party meant to celebrate her future. Whispers whipped around her like needles. I always heard the Vance eldest is the unfavored one, guess it's true. Smart move, young Master Crawford. Bella's way prettier. This is better than cable. Her father Victor's face was livid, not for her, but for the Vance brand name. Grace, her stepmother, clutched Victor's sleeve in faux concern. Victor, don't be angry. Let the kids sort it out themselves. Sort it out ourselves? Nenah stared at the two cheaters and felt vomit rise. Zach tilted Bella's chin, eyes raking Nenah in contempt. Nenah, kneel and beg. Maybe, I'll let the Crawfords leave the Vances a lifeline. He paused, poison dripping from every syllable. Otherwise, tomorrow the Vance stock price might take a very ugly dive. Using her family's survival to blackmail her into kneeling. Disgusting. Nenah's nails split her palms, the taste of copper coated her tongue. She could not kneel. If she did, she would lose everything, her mother's memory included. She locked her spine and glared. Zach, keep Dre. Ming. Oh, still got spine? Zach laughed. You think you have options? He flicked a glance at the security guards. Two hulking men stalked forward to force her down. Gasps and cell phone cameras greeted them. Nenah shut her eyes. Crash. The ballroom's double doors burst inward, shattered by a single kick. Everyone spun toward the sound. Backlit in the doorway stood a man. Tailored black suit, shoulders like a cliff, legs for days, or cold enough to freeze helium. He stepped inside, a phalanx of bodyguards followed. The temperature plummeted. Breathing stopped. Adrien, the uncrowned king of Riverdale, the man who held Caldwell's purse strings and could flatten the city's economy with a shrug. What was he doing here? Zach's smirk cracked. Adrien, why are you? Adrien didn't spare him a glance. His arctic eyes locked on Nenah, still pinned between the guards. Predator. Extreme danger. His lips parted. Lay a finger on what's mine. 8 words, thunder in a cloudless sky. Mine? Who? Zach's brain blue screamed. He looked at Nenah. Impossible. She couldn't know a man like Adrien. Nenah was just as stunned. She had never seen him in her 22 years. Adrien's men moved, 2 thuds, 2 guards on the marble, writhing. Adrien stopped in front of her, his shadow swallowed her whole. He lifted a hand and traced her swollen cheek with surprising gentleness. Does it hurt? Low, cello string voice. Nenah's heart jolted. She flinched back. Too dangerous. His pupils narrowed, displeased. He pivoted toward Zach and Bella. 0 Kelvin stare. The Crawford family? Starting tomorrow, Riverdale won't remember it existed. Zach's knees buckled, he hit the floor. Adrien. I didn't know she was yours. One sentence and the Crawfords would be erased. Bella clung to Zach, shaking like a leaf. Adrien didn't bother looking at them again, just insects. He turned, scooped Nenah into his arms in front of the crowd. Gasp. Instinctively she locked her arms around his neck. Crisp cedar and something darker wrapped around her. Silence, deep enough to drown in. Every guest froze as Adrien carried her out, step by measured step. Victor and Grace stood slack-jawed. Nenah's mind blanked against the steady drum of his heart. Night air slapped her awake outside. Who are you? Why help me? She tried to slide free. Adrien glanced down, midnight eyes endless. Nenah, he drawled, voice intimate. We'll be married soon. A black Rolls-Royce glided to the curb, a bodyguard opened the door. Adrien folded her inside. Leather and low lighting, an opulent cage. Nenah inched away, wary. What do you want? He had swooped in like an avenging god, proclaimed marriage, and offered no explanation. She didn't believe in free lunches, especially ones laced with cyanide. Adrien didn't answer, he studied her until her skin prickled. She wet her lips. Sir, thank you for the rescue, but Adrien. A quiet correction. Nenah swallowed. Adrien, there must be some mistake. No mistake. He lifted a first aid kit, soaked a cotton swab. She recoiled. His brows pinched. Hold still. Authority wrapped in velvet, she froze. He tipped her chin, cleaned the welt with feather-light care. Nenah hissed. His touch softened further. Thick lashes shaded his gaze as he worked. Close-up perfection, marble skin, blade-straight nose, sculpted mouth, and a force field that screamed keep out. Her pulse raced. Why the tenderness? Finished, he traded antiseptic for a warm towel, stroked her face. From now on, nobody hurts you. Soft words, steel promise. Only her late mother had ever vowed to protect her. The rolls stopped before wrought iron gates that swung open onto a floodlit chateau, rolling lawns, a silver lake. A castle. He carried her past bowing staff and up a sweeping staircase into a monochrome suite, cold, expensive, unmistakably his. He set her on a bed big enough to get lost in. Shower, change. Closets through there. She looked, and her breath snagged. Racks of new clothes in her exact size, every brand she loved, styles she pinned on Pinterest but could never afford. Tailored for her, before tonight. Did you know me before? He met her eyes, said nothing, and left. The click of the door echoed. Nenah pinched herself, then wandered into the marble bathroom. Under the spray she finally cried, ugly, silent sobs for the mother who'd died, for the fiancé who'd never loved her, for the family that saw her as a ghost. When the water cooled she stepped out, pulled on a silken robe, and drifted to the window. Moonlight poured over gardens. Below, Adrien paced alone, phone to ear, wind whipping his coat. He looked lonely. He glanced up. Their eyes locked. Startled, she yanked the curtain. Heart jackhammering, she pressed against the wall. Knock. She opened to find him holding a mug of warm milk. Drink. Sleep. Fingers brushed, heat shot up her arm. Thank you. Tomorrow I'm taking you somewhere. Where? He offered only a cryptic smile and retreated. She stared at the closed door, unease curling tighter. Birdsong and gold sunlight woke her. For seconds she had no idea where she was. Then last night flooded back, surreal, glittering, terrifying. Fresh clothes waited, a simple white sundress. She dressed and followed the aroma of coffee downstairs. Adrien sat at the breakfast table, newspaper folded beside his plate. Morning light gentled the icicle edges of his profile. He looked up. Morning. Eat. A buffet covered the table. Continental, Chinese, everything. Nenah slipped into the seat opposite. Adrien. Her cheeks warmed. Adrien, where are we going? He wiped his mouth. You'll see. Same autocratic tone, same butterflies in her stomach. The car left the city behind, heading into empty countryside. Dread and curiosity twisted together. An hour later they rolled to a stop before a stern limestone building. City. Civic marriages, licenses, bureaucrats. Nenah's stomach dropped. He was at her door before she could unbuckle. You said we'd marry, he reminded, voice calm as weather chat. I'm a man of my word. Marry a stranger, less than 24 hours after meeting? You're insane. I'm pragmatic. He cupped her elbow, guiding her up the steps. Marry me, Nenah. I'll hand you power, status, money, and the ammunition to avenge your mother. The last sentence slammed into her ribs. Her mother had died of a heart attack the week the Vance company wobbled. 2 months later Grace and Bella moved into Vance. Coincidence had never tasted so rotten. But she had no leverage, until now. Adrien's eyes pinned her. The Vance board is already hollow. Bella and her mother siphon assets nightly. Without me you're roadkill. Every word drew blood. She lifted her chin. Why me? You could have any woman in Riverdale. He leaned close, scent of winter forest flooding her lungs. Because fate owes us both a wedding. Adrien studied her, a storm of unreadable emotion swirling in his eyes. A long moment passed before he finally spoke. Because I only want you. The words were soft, yet wrapped in the certainty of fate. Nenah's heart stuttered. She stared at the man who looked invincible, at the claim blazing in his gaze. She knew she had no room to refuse. Maybe this was the only road left. She drew a slow breath, decision stealing her spine. All right. I'll marry you. A brilliant flare lit Adrien's eyes, like a star catching fire in the dead of night. The corners of his mouth curved into a true smile. You won't regret it. Half an hour later Nenah's fingers curled around the little red marriage certificate, still convinced she was dreaming. She was married? To Adrien, Riverdale's most mysterious and powerful man. Outside city he took a call, something urgent. I'll have the driver take you home, I'll be back for dinner. He ruffled her hair, the gesture easy and intimate. Nenah nodded, stiff. She watched his car melt into traffic and only then allowed herself a long exhale. The driver opened the rear door with a bow. "Caldwell, please." "Caldwell." Heat rushed to her cheeks again. She slid into the Rolls-Royce and gave an address. Not the estate, Vance. Some scores were overdue. She was Caldwell now. No longer the helpless Nenah everyone used to kick around. Vance. Inside the drawing room Victor was roaring. That ungrateful girl dares show her face here. Last night's fiasco had sent the Crawfords into bankruptcy before breakfast. Every joint project was frozen and the Vance stock had hit the floor the second the market opened. All because of Nenah. Grace played the kindly stepmother. Victor, calm down. Maybe that Caldwell tricked her. Tricked? He sneered. Do you think a man like Adrien picks women at random? Fear and awe twisted inside him, awe that Nenah had climbed that pinnacle, fear that Adrien would vent yesterday's humiliation on the whole family. Bella sat on the sofa, face bloodless, eyes green with envy. Why? Why had Adrien chosen Nenah? A man she didn't dare lift her eyes to was now Nenah's backer. She couldn't accept it. Dad. Mom. Sis is back. A maid scurried in, panic in her voice. Before the echo died Nenah appeared in the doorway. White dress, spine straight, a faint cold smile playing on her lips, nothing like yesterday's wreck. So you remember where you live? Victor's rage reignited, he snatched a cup and hurled it. Nenah's glare turned arctic. Try it. Soft words, yet they pinned his arm midair. His own daughter had cowed him. She stopped in front of the sofa, looking down on them. Quite a party last night. The casual sentence drained color from Victor and Grace. Sweetheart, let me explain, you're not my mother. Nenah cut Grace dead. My mother is dead. Grace's face mottled. Nenah shifted her gaze to Bella. My room, clean it out. Throw your junk somewhere else. Bella leapt up. Over my dead body. It's my room now. Ever since Nenah left for college Bella had annexed it. I'm the legal heiress of this house, Nenah said, moving in until they were nose to nose. You're just the extra luggage your mom dragged in. You. Bella shook with rage. Plus, Nenah flicked a folder onto the coffee table. Here's the share transfer my grandfather gave my mother. 20% belongs to me, personally. Effective immediately, I'm taking a seat on the board. Victor went livid. Nonsense. You know nothing about running a company. I'll learn, she replied, voice frosted. Better than watching vultures hollowing out. Her glance slid to Grace, heavy with meaning. Grace avoided it, she'd been siphoning cash for years. Victor sputtered, realizing his once meek daughter had turned into a drawn blade. Don't imagine Adrien's backing lets you do whatever you want. Bella screeched. You're just a passing fling, he'll dump you. Really? Nenah's smile was ice. She laid the red booklet on the table. Look closer. I'm legally Caldwell. Marriage certificate. 3 pairs of eyes stared as if she'd dropped a live grenade. Bella's face lost every last drop of blood. Impossible. Nenah married to Adrien? Victor's hands trembled as he opened the booklet. The names and photo swam before his eyes, he nearly fainted. He, father-in-law to Adrien? A meteor of gold had landed in his lap. His manner flipped 180 degrees. Nenah, dear, such happy news. You should have told us, we'd have arranged a banquet. His smile was obsequious. Nenah swallowed bile. Save it. I'm here to deliver 3 notices. First, my room, vacated by tonight. Second, I'm joining the board. Third, her gaze skewered the ashen Grace, top-tier lawyers and auditors will comb the books for the past decade. Every cent that belonged to my mother will come back. She spun on her heel and climbed the stairs, leaving 3 statues of dread behind. Her old bedroom was unrecognizable, pink ruffles, stuffed toys, the air cloying. She speed-dialed a premium cleaning service, then walked to the window. From today everything changes. She isn't prey anymore. She's Caldwell, and she means to reclaim every inch that is hers. Her phone buzzed. Adrien, what do you want for dinner? The simple question warmed her. Anything, she typed. The reply came fast, wait for me. She traced the words, a tiny curve on her lips. Maybe this marriage isn't a mistake. At dusk a convoy of black SUVs coasted to a stop at Vance. Victor and Grace hovered at the gates, smiles greased with anxiety. Caldwell, welcome, Adrien strode past without a glance. Inside, he scanned the hall, brow knitting when he didn't find her. Where is she? Upstairs, I'll fetch her, Grace began. No need. He took the stairs 2 at a time. Victor and Grace exchanged glances, both thinking the same thing. Being near him felt like standing too close to a live volcano. When Adrien pushed the door open, he found chaos, uniformed cleaners boxing every trace of pink. Nenah perched on a sofa, teacup in hand, directing operations. That vanity, out, eyesore. Strip the walls, I want dove grey instead. She rose when she saw him. You're back. The natural greeting of a wife to her husband pleased him. He slid an arm around her waist. Spring cleaning? She leaned into him. Purging. He chuckled against her ear. Don't like it? We'll move to the estate. No. Her eyes were resolute. I stay here. It had been her mother's home, she meant to guard it. He read the stubbornness and yielded. Then we redesign it. Team will be here in 30. One call later, bring the designers from the River House project to Vance, half an hour. Warmth pooled in her chest. Overbearing, but every detail tilted toward her. Downstairs Bella watched her treasures trashed, heart bleeding. She clutched Grace. Mom, stop her. Barrett. We can't cross Caldwell. I don't care. Bella bolted for the stairs. You bitch, Nenah. 2 bodyguards blocked her. Vance, Mr. and Caldwell are upstairs. Access denied. I live here, she shrieked. From the landing Adrien spared her a single glance. Noise. One word, icy, final. His assistant lifted a phone. Captain Wong? Caldwell Legal. We've mailed evidence of commercial espionage and embezzlement by Bella. Please act. Bella's wail died in her throat. Espionage? Embezzlement? 10 minutes later uniformed officers cuffed her. Vance, you're wanted for questioning. Bella looked to Victor and Grace for salvation. Victor turned away. She was dragged out, screaming. Adrien never blinked, an emperor watching ants scurry. Nenah shivered, half thrilled, half awed. So this is what real power feels like, to break someone with a syllable. His gaze shifted to Grace, quivering like a leaf. Your turn. We'll tally your debts. Grace collapsed to her knees. Mercy, Caldwell. Adrien's smile carved ice. My wife's mother died because of you, didn't she? The accusation cracked like thunder. Nenah spun toward Grace, blood frozen. Her mother, murdered? Grace's shaking confirmed it. Adrien signaled. His assistant placed a slim file in Nenah's hand. A detailed report. The day her mother's heart failed, Grace had stood nearby, yet waited precious minutes before dialing 911 and quietly pocketed the emergency nitroglycerin tablets. Nenah's world detonated. Not illness, murder. And the killer knelt at her feet. She descended the stairs one trembling step at a time, shards of pain slicing her soles. Standing over Grace, she rasped, Why? Grace babbled denials. A slap cracked across her cheek. Nenah lunged, fingers closing around her throat. I'll kill you, pay for her blood. Rage blotted out reason, she wanted justice in crimson. Victor lunged to intervene, Adrien's men pinned him back. Adrien watched, unmoving, letting the storm rage. Only when Grace's eyes rolled white did he step in, wrapping Nenah from behind. Let go. She's not worth your hands. His steady heartbeat anchored her, sanity seeped back. Death is too easy. She released Grace, who slumped, gasping. Nenah straightened, tears gone, eyes glacial. Call the police. She addressed the assistant. Charge her with deliberate murder, life in prison. Grace crawled to Victor, clutching his trousers. Save me. I did it for you. Without me the Vance fortune would never have been yours. In her panic she blurted out everything. Victor's face went paper white. Nenah stared at him with a cold smile. Dad, did you hear that? Turns out you were an accomplice too. Victor swayed, almost crumpling to the floor. No. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. He flailed his hands frantically. You didn't know? Nenah advanced step by step. Mom hadn't been dead 3 months before you moved her in. You expect me to believe you were clueless? You let my mother die, for money, for the company. Victor, you don't deserve to be called husband or father. Every word sliced like a blade deep into Victor's heart. He stood speechless, his aged face flushing an ugly purple. In the end Grace was escorted out by the police on suspicion of intentional homicide. Victor was also taken in to assist the investigation for suspected cover-up. Overnight the mighty Vance family crumbled. Nenah stood in the cavernous living room, feeling every ounce of strength drain from her body. She had her revenge, yet she felt none of the joy she'd imagined. Her heart was hollow. A warm embrace wrapped around her from behind. It's over, Adrien murmured, resting his chin on her hair. Leaning against him, Nenah let silent tears fall again. I don't have a home anymore. Who says? Adrien turned her to face him. He cupped her cheeks, meeting her eyes with absolute gravity. Wherever I am, that's your home. Looking into his deep gaze, her reflection clear inside it, her heart skipped. Was this man confessing to her? Before she could think, Adrien lowered his mouth. Unlike any kiss before, this one was endless tenderness and cherish. He parted her lips, claiming her gently yet thoroughly, as if she were a priceless treasure. Nenah's mind blanked, she could only accept. His kiss held a magic that pulled her under. Only after a long time did Adrien reluctantly let her go. He pressed his forehead to hers, breathing hard. Nenah, move in with okay? His voice was husky, coaxing. Staring at his handsome face so close, Nenah nodded almost unconsciously. Perhaps she truly needed a fresh start. On her first night in Adrien's estate, Nenah couldn't sleep. She lay on the king-size bed beside the man's steady breathing. She didn't dare move, barely breathed. Though they had collected their marriage certificate and were legally husband and wife, Adrien was still a mystery to her. Why had he chosen her? Why was he so good to her? Just because he needed a wife? No answers came. In the dark he suddenly rolled over, draped a strong arm across her waist and tugged her closer. Nenah stiffened. Feeling her tension, he made no further move, simply encircled her. His chest was warm and solid, bringing an inexplicable calm. Gradually she relaxed, found a comfy spot in his arms and drifted off. When she woke, his side was empty. A note lay on the nightstand. Meeting at Caldwell. Breakfast downstairs. Wait for me. Bold, forceful strokes, just like the man. Smiling unconsciously, Nenah folded it. It felt wonderful, as if she finally had a home of her own. She wandered the grounds. The estate was staggering: main mansion, gardens, pool, stables, even a private helipad. Poverty really did limit imagination, she mused. The butler informed her Adrien had ordered, everything was hers to use. If bored, ride at the stables or have the driver take her downtown. Every Adrien-owned mall would let her charge to the face. She listened as if hearing fairy tale. So this was how the ultra-rich lived, plain, dull, marvelous. Shopping didn't interest her. She asked the butler to show her the study. Adrien's study occupied the entire third floor. One wall of shelves held volumes on everything from economics to astronomy. She tugged out a German philosophy treatise and raised an eyebrow. His range was vast. While browsing she noticed a corner cabinet at odds with the room's gravitas. Inside rested a chipped wooden bird, a red-threaded glass marble, and a worn photo album. Drawn over, she opened the album. First page, a yellowed black and white showing a scrawny 5-year-old boy and a beaming 4-year-old girl in princess dress and pigtails. The boy, in ill-fitting cast-offs, clutched the wooden bird, the girl held the marble. Seeing the girl's face, Nenah felt lightning strike. It was her, little her. Impossible. Her hand shook, heart pounded. She had no memory of such a boy. All she recalled was a high fever at 7, days unconscious. Afterward large chunks of childhood were blank. Doctors called it trauma-induced amnesia. Had she erased this boy? And who was he, Adrien? A wild guess took root. She turned pages. The same boy growing, adolescent, teen, young man, features sharpening, gaze hardening. The last shot captured Adrien ringing the NYSE bell, triumphant in a suit. Yet in his breast pocket, a fountain pen from which dangled the tiny wooden bird. He had kept it all along. Nenah's heart slammed against her ribs. They'd known each other forever. He hadn't fallen from the sky, he had come for her. He'd waited years. Tears splattered onto the album, blurring the photos. She pressed a hand over her mouth to stifle a sob. She finally understood why he chose her, why he spoiled her. She was the light he'd searched for all these years. What are you looking at? A low voice asked behind her. Startled, Nenah slammed the album shut and swiped her cheeks. She turned. Adrien stood in casual wear, less boardroom predator, more relaxed homeowner. You're back. She couldn't meet his gaze. He stepped over, opened the album. Saw everything? His tone was calm. Nenah nodded, voice thick. Why, didn't you tell me? He brushed away a tear. I was afraid I'd scare you. Locking eyes, he continued, Nenah, I've been searching for you for 15 years. 15. Her heart clenched. All those years, unknown to her, someone had quietly looked out for her. She wanted to ask about back then, about the years between. Adrien Place. The little wooden bird in her palm. Remember? He asked. We promised, when I came back, I'd marry you. Nenah stared at the rough toy. Its texture felt real as truth. Hazy fragments flooded back. Thin boy in tattered clothes, warm afternoon, childish vow. Nenah, when I grow up I'll come back and marry you, okay? Okay. Pinky swear. 100 years, no take-backs. Tears surged. She remembered everything. She hurled herself into his arms. Adrien. That single childhood name melted Adrien's iron heart instantly. He tightened his arms, as if to fuse her into his bones. to make up for every lost year. I'm here, he answered, voice trembling. She sobbed against his chest until spent. He held her while her tears soaked his shirt. When her breathing finally calmed, he led her to the sofa. Remembered everything? He dabbed remaining tears with infinite care. Nenah nodded, eyes red. I only recall you being taken away. I ran after you, then nothing. His gaze darkened. You chased me, fell from the rockery, hit your head. Her heart twisted, so that was how she'd forgotten. I'm sorry, I lost you, she whispered. He shook his head, squeezing her hand. Not your fault. Deep affection softened his eyes. You're here now, nothing else matters. Happiness flooded her, she leaned up and kissed him. Surprise flickered across his face before he took over, pouring 15 starved years of longing into the kiss. Breathless, they parted, cheeks flushed. She dropped her gaze, shy. He chuckled and settled her on his lap. Nenah, you're playing with fire, he warned, voice gravel. Her face burned crimson, she felt his desire beneath her, equal parts fear and anticipation. Yet she wanted to give herself completely. Meeting his blazing stare, she nodded. I'm ready. His eyes flared dark. Without another word he lifted her and strode to the bedroom. Next morning Nenah woke aching everywhere, as if a truck had rolled over her. The moment she stirred he was awake, pulling her close, kissing her forehead. Morning. Sore? She buried her face in his chest, too embarrassed to speak. His chest vibrated with a low laugh. Let me run you a bath. He carried her to the tub, where gentle quickly turned heated. By the time she actually got out of bed the sun stood at noon. She sat at the dining table wearing only his white shirt, legs bare, while Adrien cooked lunch in an apron, flipping vegetables like a pro. Sunlight painted gold across his shoulders. Nenah thought, this is what years soft and quiet must mean. After lunch a call came, Caldau business. He apologized. I have to run to the office. It's okay, go. She smiled. He changed into a suit, kissed her long and deep before leaving. Come home early, she called. I will. Alone in the vast house she soon grew restless and dialed her best friend. Hey, you finally remembered me. Maddie's exuberant shout burst through the phone. Afternoon tea? Nenah asked. Absolutely, same place. She dressed and had the driver drop her at a downtown cafe. Maddie was already there. Holy cow, Nenah. Which billionaire sponsored this makeover? She gaped at Nenah's designer dress and limited edition Patek Philippe. Nenah laughed and Saturday. Long story. She gave Maddie an abridged version, leaving out the childhood saga. Maddie's jaw dropped. So you're Adrien? The one and only. Nenah grinned. Damn, girl. Maddie slapped the table. Show me his face, rumor says he's stupid level gorgeous. Nenah realized she didn't have a single photo of her husband, only a few blurry press side shots online. Next time I'll introduce you, she promised. Just then the door chimed, a Chanel-suited woman glided straight to their table. Nenah looked up, and froze. Chloe, Riverdale's famous socialite, rumored longtime fiancée-to-be of Adrien. Chloe slid off her sunglasses and eyed Nenah with contempt. You're Nenah? Hostility dripped. Nenah frowned. Do we have business? Chloe smirked, slapped a check on the table. $50 million, leave Adrien. Nenah most laughed, straight out of a soap opera. Before she could speak Maddie exploded. Who the hell do you think you are? Barge in and demand breakup money? Chloe ignored her, eyes fixed on Nenah. You think he actually loves you? Wake up. You're just a novelty. I've seen dozens like you, gold diggers dreaming of flying up the branch. The Caldwell spot is mine. Every sentence reeked of superiority. Nenah sipped her coffee, set the cup down, and stood. She towered half a head over Chloe, aura overwhelming. 1. Adrien and I are legally married, certificate signed, sealed, delivered. 2. The Caldwell title is mine now and forever. As for you, dream on. 3. She picked up the check and tore it cleanly in half. 50 million? Are you trying to tip a beggar? She leaned into Chloe's ear, dropping her voice so only the two of them could hear. My husband's net worth is thousands, tens of thousands, of times bigger than that. You really think I'd stoop to pocket change? Chloe's face flushed an ugly liver red. She hadn't expected this fragile-looking woman to have such a razor tongue. You. Chloe whipped her hand up to slap Nenah. Nenah's eyes iced over. She caught Chloe's wrist mid-swing. Whitman, I'd think twice before you swing. Otherwise I can't promise tomorrow's Riverdale headline won't be, Whitman melts down in the street. Chloe's wrist throbbed under Nenah's grip, but she couldn't jerk free. Furious and humiliated, she was powerless. Just then the cafe door burst open in a wave of commotion. Adrien strode in, flanked by bodyguards. He spotted the two women at a glance, his face darkening instantly. Adrien's entrance froze the air solid. The silent authority rolling off him felt suffocating. Chloe brightened, wrenching free of Nenah and rushing forward in a teary pout. Adrien, you're finally here. Look what she did, she bullied me. She jabbed a finger at Nenah, eyes shimmering like wounded pawns. Maddie, watching from the side, was slack-jawed. With that speed of face change, Hollywood was missing a star. Adrien didn't spare Chloe a glance. He walked straight to Nenah and pulled her behind him. He lifted Nenah's hand, inspected it, and only when he was sure she was unhurt did he raise his gaze, now glacial, toward Chloe. Who gave you the guts to touch what's mine? His voice was shards of ice. Chloe shivered under that stare and instinctively stepped back. Adrien, I didn't. She started, my wife says you raised your hand, so you raised your hand. Adrien cut her off, absolute and final. My wife. The words cracked across Chloe's cheeks like three brutal slaps. Her face drained paper white. Adrien, you're really married? She still couldn't believe it. Adrien couldn't be bothered answering. One arm around Nenah's waist, he spoke to his assistant behind him. Notify the Whitman family. Caldwell terminates every cooperation with them, effective immediately. And make sure Whitman is no longer welcome anywhere in Riverdale. The assistant bowed. Yes, Caldwell. Chloe was hit by lightning, her whole body went numb. Terminate all contracts? Erase the Whitmans from Riverdale? He was banishing her entire family. The Whitman fortune was big, but against the Caldwell behemoth it was paper. One sentence from Adrien and the Whitmans could be ruined overnight. No. Adrien, you can't do this. She lunged to grab his sleeve, bodyguards blocked her. Our families go back generations. Our grandfathers were war brothers. And you'll trash that for one woman? For the woman who is Adrien's woman. He stared down at her, not a flicker of warmth. Lay one finger on her and I'll bury your whole family. The words rang out, steel and murder. Chloe collapsed, watching Adrien lead Nenah away without a backward glance. She knew she was finished. So was the Whitman family. In the back seat Nenah nestled against Adrien, heart still racing. She hadn't expected him to arrive so fast. Or to obliterate the Whitmans for her. How did you know to come? She asked, tilting her head. Adrien pressed a kiss to her forehead. I had a bad feeling. After his meeting an uneasiness had gnawed at him. He'd had her location tracked and sped over. Thank heaven he'd made it. Warmth flooded Nenah's chest. About Chloe. She worried. If you treat her like that, the Whitmans might, forget them. He cut her off, voice iron. Nothing and no one in this world matters more than you. Her heart felt drenched in honey. This man always wrapped the sweetest words in the most ruthless package. Maddie sat frozen, feeling like a 1,000-watt bulb, trying to become invisible. Dog food, she was stuffed. Instead of the estate, the Rolls-Royce pulled up at a private club. Adrien helped her out. What are we doing? Nenah asked. Introducing you to some friends. Hand in hand they entered a private room where several men lounged, all radiating power. They rose when Adrien walked in. Well, the great Adrien finally brings someone to show off? A loud floral-shirted man grinned. Adrien ignored him and turned to Nenah. This is my wife, Nenah. Then, pointing, Shen, owns Starmax Studios. Derek, finance. Xavier, doctor. Each greeted her. Welcome, Mrs. C. Nenah smiled shyly. Hi. Shen scooted closer, wiggling his brows. Spill, sis, how did you chain our god of war? Share the playbook. They'd known Adrien a decade and never seen him pamper anyone. Adrien kicked him. Scram. Shen yelped and dove away. The room felt like family. Nenah could tell these were real friends, and she relaxed. After a few rounds she excused herself to the restroom. Touching up her lipstick, she saw Xavier enter. Mrs. C, he greeted. Dr. X. She smiled. He leaned against the counter, casual. Adrien, his health's been rough. Nenah's hand froze. What's wrong? Xavier sighed. Chronic insomnia, killer migraines. Years of pills. We keep telling him to treat it seriously, he won't. Says he's afraid if he sleeps too deep he'll lose you again. Nenah's heart clenched. All those years he'd suffered and never let her see. But, Xavier brightened, since you came back he's sleeping again. Called yesterday, first full night in ages. You're his medicine. Take care of him, okay? Tears stung her eyes. I will. Back in the room she slipped behind Adrien and hugged him. He turned, surprised. What's up? She shook her head against his back. Adrien, from now on, I'll be the one protecting you. He stilled, then smiled, warming. Bringing her hand to his lips, he kissed her knuckles. Deal. His phone rang. Checking the screen, he frowned, stepped aside, spoke, face hardening. Ending the call, he returned, grave. Nenah, I've got to fly to Europe. How long? 2 weeks, maybe a month. Her heart sank, but she nodded. Stay safe. He looked at her uneasily, then told Shen, while I'm gone, watch her. Shen thumped his chest. On my life, bro. Still uneasy, Adrien dialed again. Transfer 10% of Caldwell shares to my wife, effective immediately. 10% of Caldwell. The room gasped. It made Nenah an instant billionaire with real board power. Shen and Derek were floored. They knew he spoiled her, but this was handing over his crown. Nenah protested. Adrien, are you insane? I can't. He closed her fingers around his phone. It's not a gift, it's armor. I'm heading into danger. If I don't come back, don't, she cried, covering his mouth, eyes burning. You will come back. He kissed her palm. I promise. But keep them. With these shares no one will dare touch you, even if I'm gone. He'd planned every drop of her safety. She couldn't speak. She saw him off at the private terminal. In the VIP lounge she fussed. Eat on time, sleep on time, no migraines. Yes, ma'am. He smiled. Don't look at other women. My eyes only hold you. Call every day. Every single day. The boarding call sounded. He kissed her hard. Wait for me. She watched until he vanished, then left. Day 1 without Adrien, miss him. Day 2, miss him more. Day THRE. Nenah marched to Caldwell. When she parked herself in the chairman's office, jaws hit the floor. Debtor and shareholders knew Adrien doted on her, but transfer 10%? Mrs. C, what brings? A VP stammered. Nenah sat in Adrien's chair and scanned the room. Effective now, while Caldwell is away, I'm acting chair. Soft voice, iron command. The elders exchanged looks. A girl barely past 20 running a Fortune 100? One stood up. With respect, this is a regular, an outsider. Outsider? Nenah laughed, slapping the marriage certificate and share transfer on the desk. Read it and weep. I'm Adrien's legal wife and Caldwell's second largest shareholder. Now do I qualify? The man shut up. She didn't need their love, just their obedience. She dove into work, dawn meetings, midnight files, brutal negotiations. They'd thought her a tourist. They were wrong. Fast, decisive, razor-sharp, Adrien's mirror. In weeks she bagged $2 billion projects. Contempt became respect, whispers turned to applause. One afternoon her assistant Mia tapped. Miss C, a James downstairs claims he's your uncle. Uncle? Nenah's mother had been an orphan. Bring him up. A plainly dressed man in his 50s entered, trembling. The spitting image. You look just like my little sister, you. I'm your uncle, James. He produced a faded photo, a woman who could be Nenah's twin. Nenah stared. My mother never mentioned family. James's eyes reddened. Our father was framed, our family imploded overnight. You and I fled, got separated. I searched for decades, only to learn she'd passed. He wept. Nenah poured him water. Why come now? James pulled an old wooden box from a cloth bag. Father left this. He swore it must reach you or her child. Inside lay a carved jade plaque, luminous and intricate, and a letter. To my granddaughter Nenah, by the time you read this I will be gone. The rivers have guarded a secret, treasure beyond measure. The key is this seal. Guard it with your life. If it is lost, so are we. Treasure? Key? Nenah blinked, stunned. Before she could process, the door exploded inward. Black-clad men poured in. Their scar-faced leader fixed his gaze on the jade, eyes ravenous. Hand it over.